Okay, so tonight, and it's funny that we were just talking about this, but I had this on my heart all week, um, to talk about leaning in when times get tough, when life gets hard, busy, holidays, struggles in the family, like all the things that they are true excuses, I believe, but they are also just excuses. And so I know we talk a lot about this a lot of times in our bod groups and with our challengers and on our own health journeys. So obviously can apply both ways. But of course, tonight I'm going to be talking about, I should have brought some water. My throat is still like not great. But anyway, tonight I will be talking more about that, how that applies in our business regardless, I always say this, but regardless of your goals, it doesn't matter if you're trying to build a massive business or if you are just doing this for a side income or a little hobby. Um, you still do the same actions, you just do less or more of them. So I kind of just like jotted down a bunch of random little one-liners as I was thinking of them this week. Um, but before I really share all of that or kind of say the random things, I really wanted to share a couple of maybe just a snippet of stories that, like, Emily's on here. She was in my challenge group during this time, so she knows all this that happened, but a lot of people don't know. Um, so I just wanted to share kind of some things that I've gone through while I was still a coach, while I still showed up for my business. Um, and I just kind of want to go from there so that, like, I get it too. But I believe that going through that and sticking with my business at the same time is why I'm still here, is why it built the grit that I have now, all kinds of things that we'll talk about tonight. But kind of jumping into the story, like, and I'm going to try to condense it a lot because it could take me an hour to tell it. But basically, kind of all the things, all the reasons that I've heard from many coaches, customers, like whatever. We had all the life changes happening, except maybe having a baby. We didn't have that. But when I enrolled as a coach, first of all, I enrolled like the week before Christmas, which when I think about that, I'm like, why did I do that? Do we have money then? I don't know. But that calling was in my gut, and that was the day. It was December 17th. So there's the first thing. I enrolled right in the middle of the holidays, which is usually a big one that people say they're too busy. Again, you'll hear this a lot with your challengers, but I enrolled then. We were in the middle of retiring out of the military. My husband had been diagnosed with bipolar disorder, so he wasn't allowed to be in the military anymore. So we were like going through a whole lot of changes through that time. And that's actually kind of another reason what sparked my interest to coach, because I thought, if I could make a little extra money, that could help us while he might not get a job, which we didn't know. He did end up getting a job. But anyway, and then so he got a new job. We went through all kinds of changes there. And then we moved cross country to St. Louis, and we were in Washington at the time. So even that, just that move, I hear all the time people that are moving, like, I get that moving is a huge deal, and there is going to be a transition. Like, there was probably a week where I didn't work and I just unpacked the house. Okay, that's obviously normal. Um, oh, I'm going to start coughing. But in the car, I got creative. What can I post about today? What were some things that I was doing to work out? Like, I didn't have weights, and I remember I used juice bottles and lifted weights in the Airbnb. I still shared about my food. There were some things like that that I could control. And so I chose to do that instead of, I chose to lean in to continue my business, even if it wasn't as much as normal. I still chose to share about those things and show what's possible even during a move. Okay, so then fast forward a little bit, and we got settled into our house. Nothing that happened in St. Louis was what we expected or what we were hoping for. And so it was really hard. My husband's work, he was gone for work all the time. They were opening a new store, so he was a part of that. And I hear this from other moms a lot, but I'm sure that all moms at some point have felt like a single mom, even if you're not. And this was one of those times. I was also a military wife, so I was kind of used to it at the time. But his work hours, he would leave in the morning and he wouldn't get back till the kids were already in bed. And we did that like 6 days a week. He worked all the time and was gone a lot and was under a lot of stress. So, and I'm running through this very quickly, but we went through a lot of problems that went along with the bipolar. And then we also went through a relapse, like an alcohol relapse. So, and again, I'm going to spare a lot of those details. But if you've been there before, you know what I'm talking about. And if you haven't, I'm sure you can imagine. But there was a lot of anger and yelling and emotion and all kinds of things. And in all of that, it is very hard not only to show up in your business, but it's hard just to show up for yourself, just to do your workout. I remember a lot of workouts. I would hit play and I was crying, like, and I would trudge through it and I wouldn't get all the moves done, or I would have to stop again and cry. But I also shared about that. And at the time, I couldn't be so open about what was going on just on social media. I told close people, I told our challenge group because that was private. But so I wasn't able to actually utilize that to reach out and maybe connect with other women who have been through that, which frustrated me because I wanted to do that. But I did some in private messages. But I would still show up on my stories, even though I couldn't give all the details. I would cry on my stories and say, yeah, I don't even know what I said. I probably said way too much, but um, I was still showing up for myself, and I was still showing up for my business. And like I said, it might have been smaller than other times, um, but I was focused on being intentional, because regardless of what was happening in my life and how messy it was at the time, like, I still knew that I had a mission to help other women, and I wanted to make extra money, and I wanted to hit Success Club and get the cool prizes. So I kept going. And then things got even worse for a time, and I actually had to leave the house. And I went and stayed with my parents for a little bit, and then I went and stayed with my friend for a week or 10 days, or I forget. It felt like eternity because I didn't know what was going to happen in our life. Like, truly, I was like, okay, I'm going to work my business. I got to make this work for me. We might be getting a divorce. I don't know. I might be a single mom now. Like, I literally did not know. I wish I could put in more detail about this, but again, the whole point isn't just my story. But all through that time, I was like super depressed, super emotional, and like didn't even realize it. I also remember feeling kind of like a zombie. Like, I didn't have energy to think. All I could do was, again, I pushed play. I was doing Lift 4 at the time, I remember. Even at my friend's house, I pushed play. I shared my workout on my story. That was like the highlight of my day. I still fed myself vegetables and drank water and took care of my kids, but my mind was just like numb at the time. All of that was going on, and I still did my power hour. I can remember sending more invites than ever that month. I didn't even hit Success Club, I don't think, which was frustrating. But looking back on that now, I just thought that gave me something else to think about. That gave me a different purpose. Of course, I had the purpose of taking care of my kids and all that. But if that's all I had to focus on, I would have been thinking about all these negative things and worrying more about what was going to happen and all of that. And working my business and coaching, and then also still taking some time to pour into my group and allowing myself to lean in. I was very vulnerable with the group, and honest about what was going on. So even though that was all still helping other people and relating to them, it was helping me through that hard time. And I think it's so cool now to look back and to think like I didn't stop. Like it might have been messier or slowed down. And when you're that emotional, sometimes it's not as effective. Sometimes your invites, or I remember having like some anger if people didn't sign up. Like I don't have that now, but because I was not totally stable. But like I said, showing up, doing that work helped me. It helped me have, I wrote down in my notes, you can control the controllables. And just like we can, there is so much that we can't control that happens in our day, especially with kids. And especially when we're doing this, when we're not even at our own house like that. But I can't look at George. He's so cute. um, but I had to think, what are the things that I can control? How I eat, right? How I can still work out, how I can still post about that. I couldn't post about what was going on necessarily, but I could still add some kind of value, something that would inspire me. What was helping me could possibly help someone else. So it helped me through that hard time. And also sitting down and doing those actions creates energy to do the actions. So sometimes, I feel like there was another story I was going to talk about, but now I forget. So that's okay. But sometimes, like, say, like, maybe it's not that, that drastic of an issue or a struggle that you're going through right now. It could just be a season that you're in with your kids. Or, another example was when I started homeschooling. Well, it wasn't technically the online school thing. And I started babysitting another person's kid and teaching her school. And when that happened, what happened to a lot of coaches was they're like, oh, I don't have time. I have to teach my kid's school now. I can't coach. And what I did was, no, I will coach. That's my thing. And no one's going to take that away from me. Where am I going to fit that into my day? I will figure it out. And I did. It was hard. It was like really hectic for a month. I was getting up at 4 a.m. I wasn't getting as much sleep, but I made it happen. And truly what ended up happening was I proved to myself that it was possible. Now we're going to be homeschooling next year, and I'm like not even worried about it because I used to think I could never homeschool and do this business, but it showed me that I just need like an hour and a half to really focus and not be interrupted. And I can be so intentional and productive and get everything done that I was taking hours throughout the day to get done. So sometimes it just takes that getting creative and prove to yourself what you can do and what's possible. And then that ends up proving to other people, if you're sharing about it, what's possible for them. Because, Summit Week last week, I just hung out with all huge variety of different people. Some of them are full-time, Michael Oman's a state trooper. One lady's a full-time teacher and she's like a 3-star diamond. I mean, Michael Ullman's a 8-star diamond, by the way. Full-time state trooper. Like, so this isn't something that you have to have a lot of time for. So prove it to yourself. But you have to be intentional and focused, like I said. Did I kind of touch on all that? And, I said at the beginning, leaning in. So, sometimes we hear that, I'm like, okay, what does that really mean? But lean into our team. It means message me if you're having a hard time, but you still want to get this done, or we put the like, share your tracker, lean in and share that tracker, even if it's like 1% done, so that we can help each other. Same in our challenge group. Lean in when you're struggling. Don't hide, don't disappear. Lean in and ask for help. Tell people that you're having a hard time, because usually someone else is too. And then in the process, you end up helping them and helping yourself. And it kind of gives you energy. And it's that same thing. The action creates the energy so that you end up wanting to do it anyways. And I can attest to that so much, because doing work that no one's forcing me to do 5 to 6 days a week, every single day, or 5 to 6 days a week, you don't always feel like doing it, just like your workout. But a lot of times, what happens if you do your workout? You push play, suddenly, like, your blood gets pumping. You're like, okay, this isn't so bad. I can make it. And it creates that energy just by you hitting play or take your Energize first. The same is true for your work. You sit down and, it might not always feel, even this week, I've been sick all week. And I just got back from Summit and my house was a mess. Ellis did a really good job taking care of the kids, but he didn't do any of the mom stuff like laundry or cleaning. So I had a lot of catching up to do. And I easily could have just put this on the back burner and not done it. But my priority is this business. That is what I care about. I will still get the house clean. I still got everything done, you guys. I even took naps this week. But you have to be intentional about that. And I would sit down, and that action would create the energy. Just keep telling yourself that action creates energy. And the more that I would get into my work, the more I just knocked it out. And I was like, okay, now I can go move on with my day. Okay. So when the going gets tough, these are my little one-liners here. When it gets hard and you buckle down for that long haul, that is when you build grit, and that is when you grow, and you build those results that will come later and will maybe even come this month. When I look back and think like, wow, what if I had taken a break whenever I had left my husband? And what if I had just taken a break and waited until I knew what was going on, waited till the holidays were over, all those things? I wouldn't have even had a business. I wouldn't have had a flow of people coming through, because this business, it isn't something that you can sit down and just knock out once a week. It has to be a small, constant flow. And it's just like the tortoise and the hare or something like that. Like, it's the small accumulation built up day after day over time that's what's going to bring you the success, and is going to bring, like I said, that flow of people that are constantly coming into your inbox and saying, okay, I'm ready now. That's because they watched me 3 years ago, 2 years ago, when I was going through all these different things. And I just proved to them that it's possible. I proved to myself that it's possible. Also, I keep saying, I'm talking about myself, not trying to brag, just like, this is what happened. And I am proud of myself for sticking with it, because I didn't know what was going to happen. Didn't even know what was going to happen in my business. At the time, I wasn't working as much as I do now. But just focus on building that grit. I remember someone using that word and telling me that. And I loved that. I love being tough, like a tough girl. And I wanted to build the grit, because I don't want everything to make me be emotional and be hard and cry. And we're tougher than that. So, okay, I'm kind of wrapping this up, but here's what you need to do if you are in one of these hard seasons, no matter what it is. And if you feel like working, coaching, building the business is overwhelming, you can, I hate the word take a step back, because I don't want to think of it that way. But you can make a priority list and decide what are the top priorities that you need to do that can still build the business. Again, it doesn't have to build it massively this next month or 2 or 3, whatever you're going through. But you want it to keep slowly progressing, right? And slowly building, even if it's just one new person a month, that's building. So you make a priority list, and I made it for you. So number 1 is your health journey matters most always. Because if you're not working out, if you're not drinking your shake, and if you're not reading personal development, you are not growing yourself. You're not being proof the product works. And so you have nothing to invite to. That's literally all of the vitals right there. So you have to do you first. And I know that a lot of times when people get overwhelmed with coaching, they take a step back and they just do that part. But the beauty of coaching is that we can do that part and very easily share what's going on. We can just very quickly put up a post or very quickly share on our story our workout or what the shake is doing for us, or share a picture of the personal development. Because if you're doing those things to take care of yourself, it doesn't take that much time, that much extra time to put it out there for other people to see. Um, and again, if you're making this priority list, yeah, you're going to be eliminating a lot of the things that we've had calls on before. Or like social media tactics and how to run your Instagram and things like that. Those don't matter when you're in a season like that, but it doesn't mean that you can't be a coach. Okay, I'm like getting off my track here. So do your journey first. And then, like I said, these are kind of the top ones that I would take off of like the business activity tracker. If you don't have time to grow your Instagram and follow a bunch of people and send a bunch of new conversations, but you want to take time to make a post every day, 3 to 4 times a week, like set a goal like that that's doable for you. And any is more than 0, okay? Obviously, the more that you post, the more names that it will help you so that you have more people to invite. But again, if you're in a season where it's just maybe too hard to come up with something, or it's so busy that you truly don't have time, but writing a post, should take like 5 to 10 minutes. So just go do it in the bathroom really quick. Oh, that's literally what I did today. The kids were like, play with me. And I was like, hang on, I have to go pee. And I did go pee and I wrote my post and then it was up. Okay. So you want to post, you want to send your invites. And then if you have current customers, challengers, or coaches, they still need to be a top priority to check in with. I 100% believe this. I still checked in with all of my challengers and I was miserable and I didn't want to hear about other people's problems because I wasn't even able to tell them what my problem was, but I still listened and I still helped them because I made a commitment to be their coach. Okay. So if you have even one person, that should always be your top priority because you committed to them. And even if they're not showing up, we want to do what we said we would do as their coach. Okay? So that is how I would prioritize it. And then if you have extra time once a week, do all your follow-ups or send a bunch of friend requests, So if that tracker is stressing you out because you don't have time to do it all, and this was even in the summit trainings, you guys, I didn't even think about that. I didn't pull this from that, but they said the same thing. One lady who's a way high up elite coach, she said, I don't always have time to get to everything on the tracker, but I always invite, and I always post and I always do like her health journey. So that is how I would prioritize that. And then when I first started, I thought I was too busy. I'm trying to remember my notes here because I need to wrap it up. When I first started, I did think I was too busy. I remember being like, how will I ever have extra time? I'm already so busy. But I realized that I read at the time, my kids still napped, and I read for like an hour a day, just like some leisurely book, not personal development, just something fun. And they watched a movie or napped or something like that. And the more, if you have kids, you know that the older they get, you actually get busier and busier in different ways. And so it's never going to be not busy, right? Like we're grown-ups now. I just feel like it just gets busier from here. And now we own a house and there's like 100 more things to do. So you have to just figure out what your schedule is going to be and how you're going to fit this in. And don't let it be an option, just like your workout. You need to get that in every day or 4 to 5 times a week. Like set that goal for yourself. And so my schedule has changed so many times in different seasons of life. And since I've become a coach, like I said, when I first started, my kids were really little and I think they were napping. I know we had rest time. Maybe they were just watching a movie. So that's when I did it. I literally worked for 1 hour and that's it. Then I would answer some messages throughout the day or while they were taking a bath or something like that. And then, we moved back, and just like everything that we've had, there have been different seasons. Penelope started school, and I wasted like an hour a day driving her to and from school, and I had to figure out how to fit it in. And then we started homeschooling. So every time, like, it's not like it's always been at the same time of day, but it became a priority because I have goals and I have a mission for who I'm helping and what I'm doing. And it's my thing. And I have learned to stand up for myself, and no one is going to take this thing away from me because it brings me joy and it helps other people, helps our bank account. And even when it's hard, even when I get like cry over it or get upset about it, it's worth it. And it's worth it to hustle. Like, that's why they call it a side hustle, because you got to hustle to get it in. So, okay, the bottom line, I think I'm just going to read the rest of what I said because I'm like, it's 6:30. The bottom line is things are always going to come up. Life will happen. We will only get busier. So we can't just say, I'll get to it later or I'll do it someday when things settle down, because like they just don't settle down, really. Let's be honest. And so we have to make the time for it now. Just like our workouts and our health journey, just like when we said, I don't know, if you have kids and you were like, oh, we want kids eventually, when we're ready. Were you ever ready to have kids? Like, no. Even the planned ones, I don't think you're ready. There's never going to be a perfect time. And the more that you work on your business and you build during these crazy hard times, it's going to make it so much more efficient. When you do have a lot of time, you're going to have all this extra time that you can just chill or do more work. And that's how you grow and get more successful. Because like I said, it's a little bit every day. You can't just knock it all out once a month and build it. It just doesn't work that way. Yeah, okay, I've pretty much said all that. I don't need to repeat it. So my last words are invest now, so that in 6 months, when you really want to be working, like, that's just like an example time amount, but you will be already working then, and then you'll have your flow of people, and you'll have the extra time to sign up more people and to help them get started. And again, I look back to that time and think, it didn't feel like the fruit wasn't happening during that hard season. And I'm sure my vibe, like my negative vibe, was probably affecting some of it. Who knows? But had I have stopped, then my business would have stopped 6 months later. And then 6 months later, I was like on the cruise and hitting Success Club, and then that affects the next 6 months. And so it really has to work like that. And you'll just be proud of yourself that you accomplished that on top of everything else that you're doing. So that is all I have for tonight. And